They got one of the best restaurants.
Wanted to get your hands dirty and see the whole process.
Wait, is this Taste of the Tavern?
It is springtime at Mistwood Golf Club and McWethy's Tavern. I'm your host of the Taste of the Tavern, Ben Hutchison, alongside Executive Chef Dan Casey.
Hello.
And Director of Food and Beverage, Jimmy Kokless.
Hi.
And gentlemen, we have an in-studio guest, the first time on this podcast.
We do? Oh, we do.
She's sitting right next to you.
Can't you see her?
Yeah.
Across from you.
It is our brand new sustainability specialist, Angelica Carmen.
Hello, fellas.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
How nervous are you right now?
A little bit. Can't lie.
Just really don't know what to expect here.
I'm waiting for magic here.
She's nodding. She's nodding.
We're going to try to create some magic. So pretty much we'll get into learning more about you, but the sustainability specialist is something we haven't had here. We have big plans for Mistwood this year, and I don't know who wants to jump in first. I think Jimmy should jump in because the idea of what we're doing here kind of just came about and was developed. So, Jimmy, just fill everyone in on what's going on around Mistwood this year.
Yeah, Mistwood decided to build a farm, right? So how do you do that? Well, we have Angelica, and she came to us and said, hey, I can build farms, and this is what I can do for you. And we thought that was a great idea. So why not, right? But in all honesty, all kidding aside, right? We built a greenhouse where Angelica is going to start the process. And then on the 6th hole, we have a farm that we're actually building out. Pretty cool. The idea is to help supplement a little bit of our produce in the kitchen. Not all of it, right? It's not going to be that big of an operation, but enough to where we can put some really cool fresh items, ingredients onto some of the new dishes that we're doing throughout the year. The other part of this farm is that we have bees. We have beehives on property, so we will be producing our own honey. And I'm excited about that. Like that was probably the thing that sold me the most. But yeah, I mean, honey is fantastic for you. We have 10 hives right now. They are secluded away in an area on the golf course. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell anybody where they're at.
They don't need to know right now.
Definitely told people. So.
Okay, so
No longer secret.
They're in the corner of the maintenance lot and they're protected, and you know the honeybees do their thing. But all in all, I think it's something that Chef and I were very conscious of over the last several years of. You know, like, hey, how do we do this on a bigger scale? Chef Dan always had these little pots leading up to the employee entrance, and he would plant things like grape tomatoes and, you know, basil and mint and things like that on such a tiny scale that, like, throughout the years, it was always like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we, you know, could do this on our own, had a farm on our own? And here we are, 2022, and we have a farm.
I had no idea you were planting stuff rogue on the property.
So we did, it was basically like basil, thyme, tomatoes, grape tomatoes, and a little bit of green onions, leeks. We had a BLT plant, we called it. So it was basically a tomato plant that would grow maybe like 5 or 6 tomatoes because it was really kind of just contained in this little pot and couldn't grow huge. But we used to just pull the tomatoes off that thing once a week and make BLTs on Sunday. There's nothing better than fresh grown food, first of all, and then to be able to see the process for young line chefs. And I mean, for myself too, it's super exciting.
Yeah, Chef Alan, who is our chef de cuisine in McWethy's Tavern, has a lot to do with menu changes and whatnot. Here, we call him Farmer Alan all the time. Like literally, like this guy lives, you know, on the sticks, and we always make a joke when he's not at work. What is he doing? He's either building something or he's farming his land. That's the running joke, and he's fantastic, and he digs this as much as he might not show it. He digs all this stuff, and I think it's cool. I think it's another aspect of our restaurant that we're giving back to our clientele and to the community that I hope they appreciate. I think they will appreciate for sure.
So, Angelica, you were actually at Cog Hill for a number of years. And what kind of setup did you have there? And what did you learn about the farming process?
Well, if we could have like 5 more podcasts regarding that second part. No, over at COG, that was my first solo venture. So prior to that, I did 2 different urban ag internships in the city, both on a restaurant rooftop on the north side and then through my alma mater's sustainability program. So leading into that, I got this job at COG. And we set up a farm on their, it's called H lot, or their hospitality lot. And it once was the overflow parking when they had the Western and the BMW championship. So finally, within their, like, I want to say it's 1,600 acres worth, we finally scouted the spot and set up, I believe it was a 4,500 square foot raised bed farm. But really it was situated on like about 2 acres, maybe more. But it was pretty closed loop and like all encompassing within that, to the point where it was almost like its own little island parallel to one of the fairways out there. But we were pretty secluded and we were able to host some events out there. Seasonally, we had the bees out there, some composting, but it was like my little slice of heaven when I was there.
That's awesome. So what are you most looking forward to now, moving your knowledge and kind of growing on literally what you know here?
I think, and I've already seen this play out so much in the time that I've been here since January. Well, first of all, where does the time go? But everyone's collaboration and participation and just general interest, no matter what connection you have or what connection you don't have, and how that plays in daily. Anywhere I go, any meeting we're in, if people come and just show up while we're working in the greenhouse or while I'm at the farm and a golf cart rolls by, even just with the members who have been out golfing, it's been so fun and makes this entire experience that much better to have that rather than just kind of doing it alone. You know, it makes it all worth it.
And Chef, you've taken the kitchen out there. Tell them about it.
We did 1 by 1, all the line chefs on Sunday. Just sort of drove them to the bees first. And then we went to the greenhouse where we ran into Angelica and they all got to meet her formally. And then we drove out to where the farm is going to be. But yes, they all seemed most excited, as a lot of us are, about the bees, which I guess, like, when you see a greenhouse with nothing in it, it's not the most exciting thing. And when you see where a plot of land is with a bunch of spray paint on the ground where stuff is going to be, it's not super exciting. But the process, everybody is super jazzed up about in the kitchen.
Give us some of the details of the farm itself that's going to be out on the golf course, what you're going to have out there, what shape it might be in, stuff like that.
Sure thing. So it's situated, what holes is it?
6.
2, 6, and 7, kind of like sandwiched in that open area. So we kind of took from this weird bottlenecks like area that's there and created an 8,000 square foot rectangle. So we'll have like east-west raised beds built into the landscape there. And then within the middle of that rectangle, we're building, basically, we keep calling them the shield beds. So it's literally out of like blue Pro Rib Menard steel roofing panels. We made shield beds, and we'll have formal events taking place within that. So just to kind of pay homage to, you know, Mistwood Golf Club and our logo and that legacy and what that identity really is. I think that's a really neat aspect of what the farm is going to be.
That was a big thing, Jimmy. Like, we really wanted to have our footprint, our imprint, and what we are out there.
I agree. I think the shield is a great idea. It sets up nicely for private events, private dinners, right? The cross within the shield. Hey, it just so happens we can fit a 3 feet wide table by 8 feet wide, by 8 feet long, and knock 40 people out there and do something cool. It sets a cool stage, right? The drawing that Angelica did initially when she had this idea was that sold me. You're walking into something. You're not just walking in your backyard and seeing a bunch of planting boxes. So there's more to it. Some cool stuff that I'm sure you, Ben, will be able to do with the drone when it's done and see it from overhead. There's thought process in it. I love it. Super excited about it. I know Chef is super excited about it. I'm ready to roll, ready to start growing some stuff.
And so much of what we do here is kind of where we've been, where we are now, where we're going. We're always looking ahead. That's our main thing. and storytelling. So I'm excited to help tell the story the best I can with everyone else, just to document it with video and all of the little interviews. And I've already thought about getting, the tight shots of bees and things like that over there, when they're buzzing about. So it should be a lot of fun. And I think it's something that definitely sets us apart from other places in the area. And it's great to have the knowledge and you here to do that. I need to know, though, kind of where did your passion begin? I mean, just because I went to college and I wanted to do a certain number of things, or did you grow up enjoying farm, ag, all that stuff?
Sort of. It's funny. The biggest thing that I always credit back to initially is since I could walk, I was so entranced by becoming a chef in all of the cooking shows on Channel 11 and just being obsessed with watching them and wanting to be them in every way possible, right? And so I would always do my own versions of that in our family kitchens, and everyone would make fun of me, but it was great. And when the time came to actually choose, is this really going to be my path? I saw some resistance and not too much support for that. So naturally I listened and instead went to nursing school. If you know me, I am not a nurse or anyone meant for the medical field whatsoever. So that was definitely an interesting adventure to begin college with. But truly it got my foot in the door at Loyola Chicago, where that just exploded this whole thing for me. I kind of went down a rocky path getting out of the medical field at that point in time, where it was kind of timing was now a huge pressure, and am I going to leave that school? What am I going to do next? And I kept coming back to those, well, what makes me happy? What do I like to do? What would I want to spend my whole life pursuing, right? And so one day during our very, what are they called, core classes, we had a core environmental science class that was brand new because the environmental school was brand new. And our teacher decided to go off the cuff that day and ditch the curriculum and was like, screw it, class. We're going to go on a tour of the new IES, the Institute for Environmental Sustainability, and you're going to check out this awesome thing that we spent boatloads of money on that now you get to reap the benefits of, right? And so I'm a sophomore in college at this point in time. Everyone's waiting for decisions in order for me to get out there in 4 years. And so in that tour for that class, we had a Loyola alum named Zach Weichman, and there's some cool stories with him later. But he was giving us a tour of their student-run biodiesel lab. So they were taking used cooking grease and turning it into fuel for all of our shuttles that ran to the Lakeshore campus and back. And I was like, no way. He was a marketing and journalism major when he graduated, and now he's running a chem lab at a super experimental but awesome thing. So I was like, if you can do that, it really doesn't matter what I change to right now, but I know where I'm going to get to. And we were standing right underneath the aquaponics greenhouse, and I was like, I'm getting up there. This is happening. And right then I felt that aha moment that people talk about all the time. And I just shifted everything to align with that and make that happen. So then came the Uncommon Ground internship, where that exploded my world too, because the farm director at the time had just graduated from her was the Chicago Botanic Gardens Windy City Harvest apprenticeship program, which was 9 months of rigorous learning and then hands-on experience. And she was able to bring so much of that to our summer internship that year. So it was literal perfect timing, because right after that she left and did her own thing. So we got to reap her benefits. Then right after that, I did the Loyola Urban Ag internship to really just solidify those things and get some new farmers market experience, get to kind of work on the comm business side of things. And then by another crazy turn of events, I met my former boss, Chris Flick at Cog Hill, and we threw ideas around of what we wanted to do. They aligned, and so began that 5-year program at Cog Hill that now has led me to Mistwood Golf Club. So it's been a really crazy journey, but it's been amazing.
Pretty cool. That's a great story.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
With your parents, specifically your dad, because I've never met your mom, but your dad seemed I thought that story was going to go somewhere else. Because when we ran into your dad at the greenhouse, who was helping you on Sunday when we were taking all the line cooks out,
yes,
your dad seemed as knowledgeable about half the stuff as you were. So I thought you were going to say like Dad did this and then I learned from Dad. Did your dad just learn stuff as you were learning stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, I get so much of my technical brain and all of those interests and skills from him for sure. I grew up like going to job sites with him when I was little, right? And I just kind of have that brain, which has been awesome and so helpful in what we have to do. And so the 5 years at COG, he was like my live-in assistant. Basically, anytime we had a problem, Dad, what do you think we should do? Dad, can you come out and help? And he was always there at the drop of a hat. Cool. Anytime, it was funny, like anytime the white pickup truck showed up, you knew things were going to happen.
Like we have help here, but if you're comfortable with that, then, if it's like a nice dad-daughter moment, we don't want to, interrupt. Just the learning
Angelica,
process.
You need support. We're here.
Yeah, we're here to support
you. Have to bring your dad.
Labor numbers will be great.
We're here to move. We're here to move dirt around. I mean, it's fine. Whatever. We had to bring it up. We had to bring it up.
Yeah,
the dirt.
What color's the dirt in the greenhouse?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know what it is.
Oh.
So that's
how about in the beds? I mean, there's gonna be a lot of dirt there.
It's become an inside joke now, which I mean, whatever. Maybe it's not an inside joke, but I kept saying dirt, and she's like, "Hutch, it's soil," and I was like,
the respect.
I was like, "Thank you for addressing me." And I'm sorry. I didn't know the
Todd
difference.
McWethy at all staff meeting turned around and said soil also. So you guys
See,
are
I've been validated.
Agriculture nerdness.
He did agree. So what's the significance of soil versus dirt?
Dirt, I feel like, is that classic, like when you see kids like doing mud pies and just rolling around and it's just like a mess of chaos and people want it off of them because they think it's dirty. Soil acknowledges the relevance and importance of how complex the system within soil is. There's so many things happening under the ground that you don't see, and people write how many books about it. There's full master's programs and PhD programs that you could be a soil scientist. That's kind of where that comes from.
So,
do you guys know who
Mad respect.
Do you guys know who the sad guru is?
No.
Then this story is going nowhere. All right, move on.
We'll Google it. So I can't be a dirt scientist?
No. Get out.
So soil is dirt, but not all dirt is soil.
I think it's fancy. I think it's fancy dirt.
Yeah, super fancy.
Fancy dirt's good. That's good.
That's fancy.
What's soil?
That's
It's
some
fancy dirt.
Can we call it fancy dirt and it'll be fine?
It's better than just dirt.
What's the stuff in the greenhouse
Step
now?
one.
Cocoa Noir.
Yeah.
Cocoa Core.
Cocoa Core.
Cocoa Noir could be like a night film out there.
It sounded like.
So what do you have going on in the greenhouse right now?
So we have about maybe like 15 trays seated thus far. Weather has not been very cooperative with us lately, with it being so wet and cold. But with the greenhouse and our humidity domes, we're able to germinate several of those trays thus far. It's like a mix of herbs, flowers, and some vegetables that can handle the cold right now.
And then we talked about it a couple weeks ago. How many different things are you going to try to grow in the farm?
I counted out the other day. I think it's like 125 varieties or so, but that's including like edible flowers, herbs, and all sorts of vegetables.
How much does that get you going, chef?
I mean, that is a lot of possibilities for a lot of things, obviously. And then through the season, I mean, we're going to have to be, kind of on our toes and do a little bit of planning ahead. But yeah, we're excited for stuff to come to the kitchen. And I mean, you're definitely going to see a lot of preservation projects and maybe making our own vinegars or fermentations to make sure none of this stuff goes to waste as we're getting it. And I'm sure there's going to be a season where it's just cranking and we're going to be in the middle of business and not knowing where to place stuff, but we'll figure it out.
So where does the sustainability part come in?
I was hoping we would get to that.
We're there.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to be said about that, and I'll try and keep it fairly general, but
We have all day. This is free.
the most important part where like we start at the top before we start like umbrellaing down would be beneficial green space creation. You could look at the golf course right now, and to me, it's a links course, and I'm not a huge golfer, so excuse me if I say anything out of turn here, but it's quite the monoculture, right? Especially with the fact that it's a links course. There's not really anything blooming out there mid-season. There's not too many trees. And and you have lots and lots and lots of fescue. Everything just needs to be green out there. The farm serves as basically a mecca of biodiversity. When we were first drawing up plans, and it was like my first draft of the farm, I kept looking at it as like the Emerald City out there. You know, it's got everything. And so with that, when we were talking about the farm build or layout, I should say, the perimeter of the entire thing is going to be all sorts of blooming perennials at different times of the season. Lots of native plants, if anything, that can serve as like our native plant seed nursery for future seasons. But the point is to have lots of color all from spring through frost, basically. And so with that, the farm allows us to touch on so many different beneficial green initiatives, if you want to call it that, instead of just being this unused space that's only fescue year after year after year after year. We're providing now all sorts of forage and habitat to all sorts of animals, insects, all beneficial things. So the biggest key to when you're talking about anything sustainable is maintaining equilibrium. And there's always going to be bad, but you can always have good to kind of balance that out and fight it naturally, right? And that's the big sustainability aspect of it. It doesn't take much to do it. It's just knowing that you need to do it and putting those things into place. Another thing, too, on the grander scale, golf courses get such a notoriously terrible rep for being non-environmental businesses, facilities, etc., poor uses of land. Maybe you're dumping chemicals out there carelessly. Obviously, we're not doing that, but that's what the layman thinks. By doing programs like the farm, but also what else we plan to get into, that completely topples that on its head and gives us a new identity with a new future on a new track that the entire industry is moving towards. And I think that's hugely important and says so much about Mistwood Golf Club for making that choice.
Just end the show right there. You have it. No.
Drop it, Mike.
So what about the bees then? Because they do stuff around here as well.
Absolutely. So having the bees here, they don't need to be directly inside of the farm or next to it. By having them, what would you guess, like a mile away, basically?
Yeah.
They forage in like a 3+ mile radius. And even so, they serve their own purpose. It's adding to the biodiversity and supplementing it as much as we can. And Mistwood isn't the only place that they're quote unquote working at, you know? And the honey production is just kind of like an added benefit that we gleefully get to reap, you know? But they're a huge aspect of it. And a lot of people look at honeybees as basically a meter of how well you're treating the land that you inhabit. If they're doing well, you're doing good things. If they're not doing well, you need to reevaluate and kind of fix that. And so I think that'll be a really exciting way looking forward or moving forward to kind of see how those two things coincide.
Pressure's on.
Oh,
Pressure's
for sure.
on. The bees are going to tell us, like, hey, you guys are doing a really good job, or you're doing a
But
crappy job. All right.
Well, I feel like we're already off to a good start. I heard there was already some honey brewing in there.
There is. Our amazing beekeepers, Pete and Kim, filled us in that our hives that we have survived through winter already have about 120 to 150 pounds of, I'm assuming spring honey, but it could be left over from fall where it's the darker, thicker,
It's my favorite.
more robust honey.
The amber.
Robust.
Yeah,
It is.
It's like coffee. It's like
yeah,
robust.
It's different.
it is. It's got a zing to it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Nice.
definitely a different thing.
Well, Chef, this is something I learned on our, Alaska trip or Maine trip that we've gone on. This is something you're very passionate about, is sustainability, kind of giving back to the earth and all that stuff. We talked about it with the mussels and the oysters and how that all works in the water and stuff. So it has to be extra exciting that we add that in as well. It's a side benefit.
Yeah, I mean, the food industry is a beautiful thing and kind of a scary, disastrous thing if we don't start thinking about these things, about what we're using, what we're wasting. There's tons of waste in our industry, and it's the way we farm and the way the volume and all of this stuff is sort of backtracking on us now. We have to do things responsibly and using companies like Fortune Fish that make sure we're getting fish that isn't overfished and there's an abundance of it and it's going to be able to like replenish itself. So we're not just overfishing. Or mussels, which is creating a large amount of food with leaving a very small carbon footprint. And then something like this where, I mean, the food is coming right from us. So we're not needing to use distribution and all of these like fossil fuels and all of this stuff. I know very small amounts of these things, but I'm just trying to do my little part at work and at home, teach my kids. I mean, we have to start thinking about taking care of the earth.
It's like with the water, we were talking about the boats. Like you don't need the trucks to drive back and forth like you're talking about, just to kind of little less footprint.
We got really excited, and then Peter sort of was like, hey, I mean, we did drive a diesel boat out here. We're not totally the answer yet either.
Yeah.
But he said once they come up with a water-powered boat with that much power, then they're all on board. But at least they're doing their little part, right? Everybody's got to start thinking of the little things that they could tweak to make it better.
But with that too, I think comes like offsetting. And isn't it mussels and oysters are like known to be major water filters?
Yeah, one oyster
Major
can
filtration.
filter 100 gallons of water every day, which a lot of places are doing now. There's quite a few companies that are just literally growing oysters and dumping them and creating like artificial reefs that are just cleaning ocean water right now.
Which is awesome. But at by the same token, you can look at the farm as like a carbon sink where, yeah, we still have quite a bit of fossil fuels being generated here, but we do now have that's taking in extra amounts and pulling it back into the earth in a good way.
Yep.
It's very exciting. So what's the timeline then? Like ideally, if the weather wants to cooperate and stuff for something like harvesting and getting some of the vegetables in the restaurant and stuff like that.
Sure thing. So we're, like Jimmy mentioned, the greenhouse is built and being utilized currently, and I still have quite a bit to do in there, and we'll move out of the greenhouse by like mid-May, end of May, early June, and our first harvesting could be as early as mid-July.
Yeah, the game plan would be to probably do some type of social event dinner by, I mean, I said August initially, which is probably not too far off, but I think we're all comfortable with saying like September, right? Try knock out a couple different dinners in September and October. We definitely want to do something with the bees. I think the beekeepers that we met literally for 20 minutes one day, the first day we met them, blew my mind, right? Yeah. So doing something with them and getting our guests involved, and and literally Chef and I were walking back to the restaurant, to the tavern from the maintenance building, and we pretty much had a whole menu of what we could do with honey in every single course. So those are the good things to come for sure that I'm excited about.
We didn't even talk about how the name came about here, kind of the back and forth on names. So it is the farm at Mistwood Golf Club. Mm-hmm. And you're perfectly cool with that. And it kind of encompasses the bees and the farm and everything you'd want.
Yeah, I'd say so. It was quite, what was it, like a 2-month process of going back and forth and just brainstorming all these different things. And some were great, some were and we kept changing our minds. But ultimately, I think just landing on the farm spoke for itself entirely, and like you said, all encompassing. And why bring any other sort of branding into the picture when that speaks for itself under the Mistwood brand?
Yeah, I'm just ready to eat. I'm ready to experience this harvest.
Yeah, Ben, you will not like one.
I knew you were going to say that. Trying to put on a show here, okay?
Ben, what's your favorite vegetable? Angelica's here. Go ahead.
My favorite vegetable?
Yes. What's your favorite vegetable?
I like broccoli.
That's
Wow.
good. Broccoli's
Just
a good
like
one.
by
Surprised by
itself, you could just eat it by
I
itself.
like broccoli and asparagus,
Very nice.
two that I enjoy.
How about tomatoes?
Any
Are you a tomato
variation
guy?
of potatoes and stuff? No, I don't want
Really?
tomatoes at all.
Will you eat one cherry tomato for me?
Why are you doing it like that? Like you looked me right in the eyes and said that.
You stole
Like,
his
will
soul.
you eat that tomato for me? I will try it, and I will probably cringe as I eat
It's
it.
okay.
I love
Get through the cringe.
I'm the guy.
An oyster, you can eat a tomato.
I was just going to say that. Ben Hutchison ate oysters with us in Maine
It was-
for the first time, and it was epic.
That video was
It was epic.
One of the
cringy
greatest
great.
days of my life.
Oh,
I learned very quickly that I don't like the texture. I'm a texture guy, so I don't like the texture of oysters. I like the mussels better. I think the I'll say the oyster is more of a journey, I guess, because you have to open it without hurting yourself and be very careful. Do you like oysters?
I do. I kind of go back and forth on them, but to me, I can't taste the difference between like when they tell you the region that they come from. And maybe I'm just not smart like that, but it kind of comes down to how the restaurant provides the topping that can go with it. You know,
It's
I
all
like
about
a little bit of spice.
I need the hot
like some,
sauce.
like,
Those were the ones that I...
Hot sauce, but I've had it where they did like a lemon sorbet on top, and that was awesome.
nice.
Glidden Point, she didn't even know what kind of sauce it was, but it was like habanero something. And it was,
That one was
awesome.
good.
Glidden Point, that was a day.
Have you ever had like several kinds at one time?
Yeah, and
you still couldn't
The biggest thing that I
tell the
noticed was
difference?
just like size.
Yeah.
And maybe color.
How about
or like the
saltiness?
shell was
How about the
different.
brine?
Maybe I just didn't pay enough attention, but I
East Coast, West Coast? You couldn't tell the difference?
No.
Wow. Interesting.
Like oyster connoisseurs over here.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
know, I
it's
think-
kind of like when you taste wine. It's like a Chardonnay, Riesling, like I don't know, Pinot Grigio. Like if you had one, you'd be like, oh, it tastes like white wine. But then if you have three next to each other, I think you could discern the difference.
where it's not just like it smells like a red.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go to the speed round right now, and this could develop into other conversations. I have 5 questions for you.
Oh.
They're just favorite stuff. So it's just, let's get to know Angelica really quick. Favorite food?
Go.
Can I give
Clock's
like
ticking.
like an ethnicity or something, or you know?
Yeah.
I can't just pick
Sure.
one.
Your show.
Italian food.
Italian food. But you could say, Jimmy, this is going to set him off because this is like his restaurant.
Yeah,
He's
red
like
sauce,
Italian.
I know. I heard that.
You
in
know,
the
grandma's-
last podcast,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So there has to be a dish, though, Italian, where you're like, I love that one. You can eat other things, but like you're like, this is the one.
Okay, fine. Can I pick 2?
Sure, we're getting closer.
A spicy shrimp scampi and a pappardelle bolognese.
Oh, wow. She got all like Giada de Laurentiis on us.
She missed our pappardelle. That's a very
Pappardelle.
Pappardelle?
Pappardelle.
Pappardelle. All right, well, that's fair. You narrowed it down enough for me there. Favorite music, because this is going to be a big one because, spoiler alert, she's going to be on our carpooling episode come May. And that's where, for people that don't know, we go out in the golf carts, we sing, we do all that. So might pick something that she's interested in. I actually heard some music that she had out there. She's working on the farm. She's jamming out. And she's like, you like that song? And I was like, yeah, I like that
skipped it
song.
immediately.
She skipped it. And it's
What
kind
song was
of
it?
It was
kind of
terrible.
emo, the last song.
Yeah.
Is it All American Rejects?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just, that's the kind of song that get you like pumped up but sad at the same time.
I don't agree with that at all.
Whatever. The last song. Check it out.
I like All American Rejects.
I like a lot of their stuff. So, okay, what's your favorite type of music? If you could narrow it down to a band, which I think you could based on your water bottle that you're holding right now.
Yeah. I love rock and roll. I think my favorite music artist, I had to get this in my very first all-staff meeting. I love Dave Matthews Band, Shamelessly. I don't know that I'd consider them rock and roll necessarily, but moving on. I'm also a huge like Motown funk fan.
Okay. Okay. What do you think of Silk Sonic?
Silk Sonic, never.
Bruno Mars and their
Mars.
little like.
Who is the other guy?
Oh,
I don't
is
even
it
know.
Anderson .Paak?
This is their one. They just won like
Yeah.
best song or
Yeah,
something. I
Anderson.
think they won.
That
a
was the
Grammy.
best acceptance walk to the stage.
I didn't
I've
see
ever
it.
seen. It was
I didn't see it.
phenomenal. That was about all I saw of the Grammys.
It's not totally my jam, but okay. So that's good. All right, let's go with favorite movie. These are predictable, but I think it kind of says a lot about people.
Favorite movie.
And if you guys have yours too, I'm kind of interested to know what your favorites are.
Oh, no, it's fine. Now it's just the Angelica show. I'm just over here listening.
Oh my gosh. You're really putting me on blast here. I feel like I'm going to get judged so hard for any answer I
Better
give.
be sustainable.
It's like, what if she said Joe Dirt?
It would either be
Joe Soil.
Pirate Radio for the music soundtrack or Remember the Titans because I just loved it as a kid, also for the soundtrack.
Great movie, great soundtrack. Not mad at that.
pirate radio I've never even heard of.
I've never.
I don't know
God. It
what
was
that
like
is.
back in like the 70s, the Brits like ruled out and shut off like the rock and roll radio. So all the like disc jockeys and music artists and everyone took like a boat out to international waters and did their own rock and roll station that everyone like tuned into.
Interesting.
Remember the Titans is great.
Yeah, that is a great movie. That's how you go back. It's like you got the Rudy fans, you got the Remember the Titans fans, you got the Sandlot fans. I mean,
It's funny.
I just love a good
they're all
underdog
sports.
story.
They're all sports related.
My wife's old boss, where she works, played football at Notre Dame with Rudy.
Oh,
pretty
his,
cool.
his
Rudy
brother was
Rudiger.
a teacher at
Nico Valley, he was the wrestling
Lincoln Way.
coach too.
Yeah.
Wrestling coach. I actually met him, and small world.
Go Knights.
Not Sean Astin, but
Right.
was that Lincoln Way?
Yeah. I
Knights?
don't know his first name, but Coach Rudiger. If you're out there, we love you.
Heaviest guest on the show. Talk to you about it. That's great. All right. This one, I think this is a good question. Favorite place to visit? Like your happy place in the world.
She better say the farm.
Just became the farm.
It probably will be eventually. Once
The
it's-
Tavern Kitchen at Mistwood Golf Club.
Favorite place to visit? Probably the softball field I used to play at as a kid. It's at like our local park district, so it's nothing fancy or special, but I grew up playing softball for a really long time. My dad was always my coach, and it just brings back a lot of awesome memories of the good old days, that we don't get to have
Nice.
now.
That is cool. It's a little different direction than I would have thought. I mean, like I'd be like, I like to go to Coronado Island, the beach there. Same memories, same memory type thing. But she's like, just a softball field. It's great. But that's cool that it means a lot to you. And now you and your dad share more memories here at the farm.
Exactly.
So you've carried memories over. That's cool.
Sliding around in the dirt in the softball fields.
That's right.
No, and I think, Jimmy, would yours be in Greece? Just like a place in Greece? Favorite?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be biased and say the island my family's from, but
Yeah.
anywhere in Greece minus the west side of the islands. I don't like that side.
Is it kind of like the
It's
bad
cold.
side?
The water's cold. No, it's touristy, but the water's cold and super windy over there. It's the Cycladic Islands and the side that we're from, which is closest to Italy. It's like bathwater. Like you don't have to tippy toe into the ocean. You literally can just dive straight
right
in.
in.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're just going around the room on this one. So, Chef, what's your favorite place?
Honestly,
Was it Alaska with me?
it was probably like, yeah, like that sort of like coastal, woodsy, watery, like when we were in Maine. It felt very nice when we were in Alaska. And then the same summer we went to Maine, my family and I went to Pacific Northwest. We went to Oregon, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I just like going anywhere.
Yeah.
I've also like only been to the same place maybe twice. Like if we've gone on a vacation, I won't repeat it on purpose.
That makes sense.
Life's too short.
And I think you kind of like that misty, rainy type.
Yeah, like I would be like a good Londoner, I think. Like just
Oh yeah. You love London.
listening to All American Rejects and just in the rain.
The umbrella's just breaking. It doesn't matter because you're happy because of the wind and everything else. All right. The last thing was favorite TV show. It could be past, present, whatever.
Favorite TV show?
This will say a lot.
I know. Tread lightly. I don't know, an oldie but a goodie for me where I could just binge it over and over again. New Girl, if anyone's familiar.
Yeah,
it's like the only show that's ever made me consistently
Zoe
laugh
Deschanel.
out loud. Yeah. Maybe it was just my demographic, but
Doesn't she have a
hilarious.
funny voice?
Yeah, it's kind of like
does.
Kermity.
Like that kind of thing?
Yep.
Something like that.
I was into it for like the first couple seasons and then
And then
just
it kind of
dropped
dropped off.
I
Yeah.
usually lose interest in TV shows after about 2 seasons, I'd say. But The Office was a bingeable one for me,
Totally.
and I enjoyed that. People always talk about Arrested Development, too.
Yeah.
And I did get through Breaking Bad because I love that show.
And you guys watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
No.
Nope.
No.
We don't
Never
have
mind.
cable. I have no idea what's going on in TV.
I heard good things, though.
Amazing.
Favorite TV show all time is Home Improvement. Could watch every episode 1,000 times.
And it was like syndicated, so you could just catch it at like 11 o'clock at
Yeah,
night.
it's perfect.
Right.
That is a fantastic show. All right. How do you think you did on your first podcast episode?
Not too shabby. Honestly, some of those answers I was like, whoa, who just pulled that out?
Yeah, good job.
What's gotten into me?
Yeah. No, it was fun. I want to come on some more.
We can make that work.
There are 4 chairs, so we're good.
And we have a huge guest list of people just trying to break down the door to get on, along with all of our listeners. My mom will love this episode.
Let's check our calendar. Oh, wait.
Oh,
Yeah.
we do this every 2 weeks. We can get an update from the farm every episode if we wanted. Wait, we could do that. So what is happening in the next couple of weeks? We'll just do a quick looking ahead and wrap it up.
We have more plants obviously coming through the greenhouse. A big thing that's happening next week, we rented a giant tiller to just set up kind of the foundation for the farm before we start constructing all of the raised beds out of those awesome concrete blocks that we'll be building by hand. And then from there, just setting up all of our fill, getting the plants in, and going from there.
And we picked out the jar for our honey.
Oh, you did?
We did.
Was that a long, strenuous process?
It was not.
How big are these jars? How big are these jars?
This one was an
There was a
email.
couple
It was
emails.
like
Yeah.
2 or 3 emails.
Yeah, it was-
super easy. I was impressed
What were you looking for?
because we don't do things that quickly ever. So,
what was important
it is
to you?
a 12-ounce jar. The importance was how flat the front of it was because the label. I mean, we have Rexy. I mean, she can design better than anybody. So that was important to me. I think. Flat front, flat back, right? There has to be certain material on there from the beekeepers on the back, but on the front, we want a nice logo. We want it to be pretty, right? We want to brand it, and that's what one of the things we're going to do with all this stuff is start branding. So that was super, super important. But yeah, the jar is 12 ounces. We're going to stick with one size to start, and then we'll roll from there.
And my question, just out of curiosity, is that something we're going to sell in the tavern?
I mean, why
We
not?
thought about it. Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not? And if you go to our bee dinner, our honey dinner, you'll probably get a jar for free.
Whoa, that sounds great. Thanks, Jimmy. Really good information there. And Chef, you'll be able to utilize the honey on some features and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, we stock honey in the dry stock in the kitchen, so we won't probably ever have to buy honey again, which will be fantastic. We switched to all honey in my house about a month ago. We are completely white sugar free in our house, and we made the switch over to honey, and man, I feel and look great.
Never
I was going to ask you, can you explain the significance for those like me who don't totally understand that?
So both of my kids, my daughter's 7 and my son is 4, seem to be developing like seasonal allergies, as I've had seasonal allergies throughout my whole life when I was younger. But as I've gotten older and I paid attention to anti-inflammatories and things with anti-allergens and that kind of stuff, I feel better all the time. So obviously honey has lots of beneficial things. You're ingesting local pollen, so you built up antibodies, and it's good for you. So hopefully going to help them, and it's much better for you than
refined
regular white sugar.
Yeah.
It's great for your teeth too.
It's just good
Like
for your skin and all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
your teeth especially.
My daughter got a
gums.
bunch of mosquito bites, and we dumped a cup of honey in the bath water, and she took a bath in honey, and then it like
Soothing.
relieved it. Yeah, it's. I mean, you could go total honey nerd on the internet and
Yeah.
find all kinds of crazy people
Lots
that
of,
like wash themselves and.
Antimicrobial,
Yeah.
like anti-inflammatory.
I mean,
all that kind of
honeybees are
stuff.
like one of the most
Antioxidants.
antibacterial animals. They're so clean, and
Wildly
just,
hygienic.
like
Yeah, that's
hives
cool.
in general are super sanitary.
Yeah. The crazy thing was when I was doing harvests previously, and you get left with this like disgustingly sticky frame that you just cannot clear from your hands. You can't clear it from any of the tools or materials that you used to extract it initially. The best way to clean a frame like to pristine condition is just put it back in the bee yard and let them do their magic. And it looks like it's never been used. It's insane.
It's crazy.
It doesn't
Awesome.
make sense.
I have so much to learn.
Yeah.
So much to learn. But thank you so much for coming on this episode. Now you've already signed yourself up for future ones, so we appreciate that too. Gentlemen, the last thing on the list is the fact that we have a wine dinner coming up. We're super excited for it. Chef, you want to tell us a little about it, or Jimmy, who wants to take that one?
Yeah, so Hess Vineyard in Napa Valley, California. We're partnering with them and doing a wine dinner, 5 courses, 4 courses, 5, I can't remember. There's going to be 5 courses. And what we did, Chef Alan and I, when we wrote the menu, was we were basically inspired by the vineyard being from Napa Valley. So a lot of the items will be locally sourced, but in the spirit of the way that Napa Valley sort of operates is they have no seasons in Napa. Like everything is very like time of year, celebrate it when it's there, and then it just sort of goes away, but they don't have like dark winter or anything like that. So yeah, a lot of the menu items will be sourced from the Midwest, but in the spirit of West Coast.
It's exciting. And you can get tickets for that. Look at our social media, also McWethy's Tavern website. Again, Angelica, we look forward to having you here. We're happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Gentlemen, what do you say we do this again in 2 weeks?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
We'll see everyone then.
Bye.
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 I love you.
What was that, Chef?
I love you.
They got one of the best restaurants.
Wanted to get your hands dirty and see the whole process.
Wait, is this Taste of the Tavern?